ruined it, and it didn't last long. Celtic have extended their lead today by 13 points at the top of the table by a convincing win over St Mirren at Celtic Park. Celtic went into the game after a defeat. Yes, a defeat against their the new arrivals in the Premier League. Let me just switch that on and make it. There we go. That's a bit better. See myself sitting in the dark. I like the Zombies. Brendan Rodgers made a much-named change to the team today, with Schmeichel coming in goals, Arthur Johnson retaining his position, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and then in came trusty Greg Taylor maintained his position in the team, as did Callum McGregor. Arnie Engels and Luke McCowan started the game with Kuhn and Adam Ida on the wings. And Dyson Maida came on as the striker. And he's got to for a game like that because they're a big bunch of big, tall defenders, strong defenders. So you really needed to start Adam Ida up front today. I thought the St Mirren player was unlucky not to get a booking within the first couple of minutes with the pull back, the blatant foul on the Dyson Maida. Got the score spot on, says Mr. Quinn. Great reaction. Hail, hail. Even Baz, no, it's better. Yeah, it was a lot better today. And I've got to say, it was an easy game, wasn't it? It was an easy game. It's what we needed. And, do you know, I think everyone got pass marks today. Everyone actually played their part. Nobody done anything that wasn't... Everyone just played well today, which was good and what we needed. The attendance was down a bit, but again, people have just spent a lot of money over Christmas and New Year, and having another game so soon, having a game this early, and people are back to work and everything tomorrow. And there are a lot of people I know that are actually on holiday. Should have been 5-0, says Carly. Winning on a Sunday isn't for everyone, says Celtic Girl. So hilarious because they really thought that it was going to be them. I think that we should just go straight into it. Normal service has resumed. If we get as many hacks as possible, we'll just go straight into a hack. I mean, the game was what it was today. We could talk about the game all day long, and beating St Mirren isn't for everyone, considering St Mirren beat them. So give me a hack in the comments. The attendance is down due to the weather. Yes, it was. It was the weather. A lot of snow and everything down south today. I see. So yeah, I think everyone got a pass mark. Only one on Thursday. Comfortable winners predicted. Baz is Brown Warrior. And what about the man? What about him scoring, Brown Warrior? What about the one and only Austin Trusty getting his first goal for Celtic? I think that was absolutely fantastic, getting that goal. Nico Kuhn doing what Nico Kuhn does best. It's amazing what happens when he's no man marked. Hack. Get the hack on. Rodgers' cunning plan, keep Baldy in a job. Yes, it was. It was just to keep Baldy in a job for a couple of weeks, let's just say. Right, let's just get straight into a hack. I don't see why we should. We need to. It's. Are you ready for this? Because they want him sacked already.
Big Phil needs to go. Less than 72 hours removed from a fantastic Old Firm victory against Celtic for Philip Clement. Rangers bottle a massive lead, not once but twice. Welcome back to the channel. Hibs free, Rangers free. I don't even know where to begin with this game of football, because Hamza Gamani scored a hat-trick, and when you score 3 goals, that should be enough to beat any team.
Not necessarily. Anyway, we'll come back into that. Going to jump back into the comments section. Evening, Baz and Chad, says Craig. Good afternoon, Baz. It was a fantastic. I think that Big Leon would have put it away. No danger. Good to see the centre backs chipping in with goals. And it was an easy game. I mean, as physical as what St Mirren were. I mean, I say it was an easy game. It was. You've still got to beat the team in front of you. I mean, the team across the road couldn't beat them at St Mirren's ground. Snap back to reality. Rollercoaster FC knew they'd bottled it when they were 2 up. Anyway, let's jump onto one of their other channels and see how morbid they are. It's just going to be a meltdown video, this one, isn't it?
Now before tomorrow's morning briefing, Rangers, the headline news. Chris Jack, you're still there. Easter Road is Rangers contrived to drop more points on the road. They were ahead 2-0. They were ahead 3-2. They had a fantastic
This is from the paid journals that cover the paid Rangers journals at the, I'm not even going to say the channel.
individual performance from Hamza Gaman, who's doing his utmost to try and win them that game, just as he did his utmost to try and spark a complete turnaround at Fir Park a week or so ago. But Rangers undone by their own defensive issues in the end.
Who cares? Anyway, let's get back to this one.
Because you cannot concede the 3 goals that Rangers did today. Muscles, Rocky Bashuri, and hits the post, right? Should he score? Yeah. Is it a sitter? I mean, it's not like he's missed an open net for 1 yard out. It's a tough enough angle. He's nowhere near it. He's getting out-muscled by that weird-looking Dwight Gale guy. I say that weird. How weird does Dwight Gale look, by the way? I don't know, man. Dwight, I'm still, don't take away from Thursday, but Thursday is an isolated event. Yeah, I was feeling good up until about 1:45 there, and Saturday and Friday felt good. But the reality is, we're going to be what? How many points behind now? 13. Come 5 o'clock, and say St Mirren, right, and Stephen Robinson whip out a performance at Parkhead and get a draw. Then we'll just be like, well, it could be, we could have got it into 9. It's
minus
one step
13.
forward, 3 steps back.
Minus
The away
13.
should force Clermont to walk back to Belgium, let alone be sacked. It's like, 12 points out of 30? That is unacceptable, man. How can anybody sit here and even discuss how he's still in a job? Come on. 12 points out of 30.
Yeah, I don't know. Tell me about it. Despicable, isn't it?
Win this one fairly comfortably. But the issues that have been evident at St Mirren, at Fir Park, at Tynecastle.
This is Chris Jack. This is the main fans podcaster and journalist for the Sevconians.
At Rugby Park, at Pittodrie, those issues, namely defensive ones, they come back again. And if you have a guy like Igaman who scores 3 goals, he expects to be getting back on the team bus, not just with a match ball, but with 3 points as well. And he really should have done. But Rangers contrive to throw it away, unfortunately.
Hey!
Goals that regularly away from home. Quite often we spoke about it being a case of individualism, and don't get me wrong, there was obviously the individual aspect of Igaman's goals. Simpler case is saying that Rangers played really well and to see it out in some capacity from that advantage.
And I think that's where the manager will take a bit of criticism. So yes, it's a much
beautiful.
changed back 4. Yes.
No, it was the same back 4 that played against Celtic, but you were all doing fine there, weren't you?
It is unacceptable. Unacceptable, man. Right, it's honestly baffling. 12 points out of 30. That's 3 wins, 3 draws, and 4 defeats. Any goals, creating opportunities, man. We had about 12 corners in 20 minutes. The amount of saves Thingy was making. But, Jesus, man. Miller, he was a bit shaky at the beginning. We countered though from a Hibs attack. Hadji cuts it back to Igamani, scores 1-0. Great finish. Great pass for Hadji. Great finish for Igamani. Fantastic. Cannot complain with this, alright? Dessers would take a touch. Danilo would probably take a touch, but Igamani doesn't. Rattles it.
Who cares? Anyway, we need to talk about the game. We need to talk about Celtic and Celtic TV. Celtic fans all around the world pay absolutely a good amount of money to Celtic TV to make sure that they get games on an ongoing basis, on a weekly basis. Although some of the games are not available to Celtic fans in Scotland, in the United Kingdom and in Ireland during match days on a Saturday, Celtic fans from around the world pay good money to watch Celtic TV. Today there was a power cut at Celtic Park, allegedly, but it has to be said that some of us actually managed to swap over to St Mirren TV, and St Mirren TV was actually okay. Now Celtic really need to get their finger out on this. I think that the fact that Celtic do want to push this Celtic TV platform, I think when it comes down to live events, it's been caught wanting quite a few times. It doesn't cut the mustard at all. Let's face it, with the kind of money that Celtic are generating from Celtic Television, and the fact that they want us now to go into more a monthly subscription for Celtic Television, they really need to be up in the game. And fair enough, if there was some kind of technical issue, as they say, with a power cut, how come that St Mirren TV still managed to go ahead okay? I mean, we pretty much transferred to St Mirren TV straight away. And I'm only talking about this because there are thousands upon thousands of fans that would have been sitting in pubs all around the world. I mean, I've seen the big chap up in New York who was complaining about the fact that it went off in their pub in New York. You then seen the Alicante Celtic Supporters Club asking if anyone else in Spain's telly went off, and then because one of the guy that writes the Celtic Blogs bar. The Celtic Blogs bar webpage, he actually drinks in the Alicante Celtic Supporters Club, and he was getting notifications from Celtic fans all around the world that Celtic TV is just not up for it. But I don't want to make this all about Celtic TV. I wouldn't pay a monthly sub for Celtic TV due to the poor quality of it. Did the stadium have a power cut? I'm not sure, Mo. I'm not sure. They did say that there was some kind of power cut in the stadium. But it is not acceptable enough. I mean, I'll try and get up. I've not got a picture. I've got the picture on the thumbnail. I could try and get the thumbnail up. Give me 2 seconds. Because then you'll see that's Tierney. And you'll see exactly what I'm on about. Okay, I'll just make this. Let's put this live. Oh, not that one. So this is the picture that many Celtic fans saw today. This is the picture in a pub in New York. It was a picture in many pubs across Europe and around the world as Celtic TV decided, yeah, let's go green. And it's just not good enough, is it? And it isn't good enough. But never mind, it's a Celtic win, and that's all that matters. And the reality is that this afternoon, late afternoon, Celtic do find themselves 13 points at the top of the table. Right, let's jump back into the comment section and see what some people are saying. Phil of the West End of Glasgow had the power cut. Parkhead, the full area had the power cut, said Lanky. The full Parkhead area. It must have been zombies just had enough, isn't it? the Rangers. St Mirren TV conked it as well. Baz had it on Signal No Post for the site. It's weird because we had it after about 5 minutes. We managed to get it back onto St Mirren TV, and then we watched it with St Mirren TV when there were still people. Anyway, it's for the Rats catching the gap. Me too. I'm doing the same. Brown Warrior, says Stephen Johnson. Celtic Park should have backup generators. It did have backup generators, but it is what it is. London Road Power Cut Bar 1888 had the same power cut. It must have been the Sevconians. They must have been sitting and going, bugger this, let's just... the result's all that matters. The result is all that matters. But I just thought I would like to bring it to light about the fact that there are... I mean, hats off to everyone who has season tickets. And I know the money that you spend going to games. And I know the buses that leave from all around the country, buses that left at 6 o'clock this morning to get to the games. And although it wasn't a full stadium today due to the weather issues, I just want to highlight that there are a lot of Celtic fans and Celtic supporters clubs that pay the full whack for Celtic television all around the world, and it's income that Celtic really need to up their game. On the telly. Anyway, let's get back to the bit of a meltdown, and we'll get some of the Celtic headlines coming in this afternoon. Kuhn hits a double with Celtic ease past St Mirren to move 13 points clear on Sky. I wonder if Brendan will have spoken to Celtic TV yet. So the worst thing about Celtic TV is when it goes on to Celtic TV, you don't get any interviews straight after the game. It then takes Celtic TV roughly about half an hour to put any interviews up. So unless you've got Radio Scotland, you don't get anything. No, it's not going to have anything up yet. It's going to be about another half hour or so before Celtic TV get anything up. Some more of the headlines. Celtic 3, Lucky 13 as Kuhn hits a double. Celtic player ratings as Brendan Rodgers provoked reaction for win against St Mirren. Power outage at Celtic Park as Hoops dismantle St Mirren 3-0. Lights out paradise. Celtic TV responds to broadcast chaos. They did actually respond to that, didn't they, Celtic TV? Let me just see what Celtic TV did have to say for themselves. I've seen it on... There we go. Exactly what Celtic TV said. Due to an external power outage in the Parkhead area, our broadcast has been interrupted. The match is continuing. Thanks to the stadium's emergency generator, we hope the issue resolved shortly and we can restart our broadcast. The electrical power issue is in the area still ongoing. There is no power at Celtic Park other than those connected to the emergency power supply, floodlights, etc. And that's all that Celtic TV have put out. But you've got to say, it puts a slight bit of dampener. That's all it does. It puts a slight dampener on the fact that it was a fantastic game. We did what we needed to do after the result earlier today. It was all about getting maximum points and getting the Sack Clement badge back on. Anyway, let's hear what some of the meltdown across the city had to say after their glorious New Year. We're back. We're back. It's going to be down. We're going to have it to 7 points before... Jesus, it's up to 13 now. They thought they were going to get it right down to 7 points before the game today, or whatever points it was. I don't care. It was important that Celtic... It was 11, wasn't it? Anyway, it is sitting... let's listen to them. Just listening to them, Baz. It's easier.
Into the bottom left-hand corner. Fantastic goal. He has a shot saved at the... Like when we draw games away from compared to Thursday. Compared to Thursday... I don't know what happened here, but it just died on its horse. Players get tired. Hadji and Barami, they're not the quickest. They are, I would tend to call lazy. They were very good on Thursday. Sub them off at half-time, mate. Sub them off in the 60th minute. Do something. No, he didn't do any of that. He subbed them off when it was too late. There was a VAR check for Diamonde. He didn't get booked, but for me, I would have definitely gave a yellow here. I'm a fair man. Then... game, man. Hibs at set pieces just demolishing us, and I get it. We've got Yefty, Yilmaz, two diddy men in terms of stature. We've got Sterling as a right back playing centre back, and Robin Proper, who's just a bomb scare when it comes to his heading ability and physicality. So,
well, man, I thought Proper was like the player man of the match against Celtic. It's funny how they just have. I mean, it was basically the same starting team that they played against Celtic, but they just didn't get the result at all, which is absolutely fantastic. They thought they were coming for a few days, but Celtic have managed to extend the league at the top of the table once again.
Any team or any manager worth a damn would target that area of us. More goals, whatever. Here. It's never a penalty. Can I see why he gave it? In real time, yes, but we're going to lose to Hibs here. Because honestly, is a draw the fair result? Yeah. I think there's a claim that Hibs fucking deserve to win this game. I think there's a claim that we deserve to win it. But when you look at it, I think a draw is the fair result. Then, ball launched forward. Should he score it? Yeah.
Anyway, let's listen to some of the paid journalists and see what they think.
It's a team who put in a big effort on Thursday. We spoke about that before the game, at the manager. Go and see him again. When you get to that stage, when you're 2-0 up at Easter Road, it becomes a game management issue. It comes a case of you see it out. Now that's not you stick 10 men behind the ball and you just try and defend your way out of it. But you have to manage the game better. When Hibs then get well enough either. But
Ellie as well, both really poor goals to concede from a Rangers point of view, especially. And look, they're limited in what they have defensively.
He didn't sound overly optimistic of Leon Balogun being back soon, and he said that John Souttar is still several weeks away.
I think Robin Proper's yellow card, presumably it's a 7-day wait for that to kick in as well. Plus against Motherwell, Aberdeen, St Mirren, Celtic, Hibs away from home. Gerrard had the same issue and it wasn't fixed until we signed Helander and Balogun. We need all caps defenders. You can also understand why it's given. But what I would say is that I still don't think that's the reason Rangers dropped points, because yes, they got themselves back into a lead after that. Hibs also hit the post with a game at 2-2, and had that game went 3-2 in Hibs' favour, the momentum would have totally swung around from Rangers being 2 goals ahead.
I do get where the manager's coming from. I do understand the point that he's making. You don't see penalties given for that every single week. On first viewing, when I saw Hadji make the challenge, I thought it was a penalty. I've seen the replays since. I can understand why the referee has given it. I don't think it's the biggest injustice that Rangers have faced of late.
The biggest injustice. Right, we need to listen to Greeting Face, and I need to see what excuses he's coming up with.
That the result is frustrating. That we play a very good first half, dominating, creating the chances, playing really good football. Second half, we went down in our tempo, creating less. Hips came more. They pushed more in that way. But I'm very disappointed also about conceding a penalty like that. And not about the way, but about the decision. It's just a collision of two players with their hips against each other. You cannot say that the one makes a fall and the other one not a fall in that moment. It's just a collision of two players, and Yannis was even the one a little bit in front maybe, and the other player, his legs go around him. Not clear for me, or for me it's never a penalty. It's from both sides a collision and nothing more. You can give it two ways, so you don't give a penalty in that situation. The referee had a different view on it, and that's it.
Oh, I can't take much more of him. Can't take much more of him at all. And when you look at it from a Celtic point of view, it was fantastic that Celtic have managed to. The bloke is speaking as a comedy act. Excuses. The fact is, Celtic did get beat quite convincingly in the 2nd of January, but it is back to business as normal. There's a few players managed to get on the pitch. They won the first half. A few players managed to get on the pitch today that you think, are they going to get much more game time at Celtic? And there was a few eyebrows risen with the fact that Greg Taylor managed to maintain his position on the pitch. Also, when you look at the substitutes that came on, Luis Palma came on, Kyogo Furuhashi came on, Jan came on, and Rio Hatate. Was that the swan song for Luis Palma? Was it him getting to say his goodbyes? Because let's face it, he's never had much time on the pitch. He did come on in the 83rd minute, taking off Dyson Maeda. Was that his swan song for Celtic? And will that be him out the door? Who will Celtic then bring in? This is the question that we need asked, and there's no speculation at all. This is the worst thing about it, is there's no speculation on. I mean, it's not going to be Jota because it's a different side of the pitch. But I was surprised to see Palma come on to play. Ad says, yeah, I think that Palma didn't touch a ball, I think Palma was just getting on to say his goodbyes. Brendan Rodgers would do that to the player. He'll know there probably will be movement with Luis Palma this week. There are a few clubs interested in him. But as such, watching the stream, the St Mirren game, strange when the stream from Celtic is not. I'm sitting watching it for the St Mirren one as well. That's my story, and I'm running where it says Carly. I have no idea what she's talking about. Parkhouse Boy says shared across the pond, liked and shared across the pond. And when you look at Luis Palma getting onto the pitch, was that his swan song? Kyogo Furuhashi coming on for Adam Ida late into the game also. And then, Greg Taylor starting the match. When you look at the stats for the game, as we always do, Celtic only had 11 shots in total in this game. The shots were a way down on shots that we've had, well, apart from the 3-0 beating. We had 6 shots on target. The possession was 76% possession. There was only 671 passes, which is around about 250 down on what Celtic usually do within a game. So the passes was down. The pass accuracy was at 88%. Pass accuracy is round about there, the same numbers. It goes from about 85 to 93 on a weekly basis. The fouls, Celtic committed 6 fouls. There was no yellow cards for Celtic. There was no red cards. They were caught offside 3 times, and there was 8 corners to Celtic. Sitting with a goal difference of 48 at the top of the table now, and 53 points to the good. Now that we're just over the halfway mark, we have the league title in sight. There's still a lot of football to get played between now and the end of March, and when the split comes. But ultimately, Celtic can see the league title in their hands once again. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're coming through the league tunnel from the season, and yes, Celtic have got through the halfway point of the tunnel, and they could see the light with the cup at the end of it. Celtic, I'm going to say it, have one hand on the SPFL title. Going 13 points ahead after the game just a couple of days ago is absolutely fantastic. It was a dominant performance by Celtic. They were in control the whole game. I know Jota played on the right, Wilson Q. That's why I can't see that. I can't see the Jota one coming off, and I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, Celtic do have one hand on the title, and that's all that matters. We've won the league again. We'll start to get sung out at Celtic Park and away grounds across Scotland over the next couple of weeks and months until we once again become champions for the 55th time. Celtic are going for the original 55. Celtic, a club that did not go into liquidation, did not pay their debts, and did not die back in 1994, is a club that paid off their debts with $5 million by the one and only Fergus McCann and quite a few others that were involved at the time. Celtic maintained their history in a standing order. Celtic are now on the verge of becoming history makers in Scotland by winning 55 titles in a row. Sitting on 119 trophies, Celtic are the most successful club in Scotland as it stands. Celtic are only 3 or 4 trophies away from becoming the most successful club in the world. Yes, Celtic are only 4 trophies away from becoming the most successful club in the world. The time that Celtic do the treble this year and a treble next year would do finally. That would make Celtic the most successful club in the world officially. Anyway, the record amount of Huns handing themselves in to the furry farm tonight. Yes, we pay our taxes. We do that. The real 55 is still alive and it's coming home. And on that note, let's listen into a little bit more of the meltdown before we finish this evening.
Obviously more high profile ones than that, and so I understand what Clement's saying, that it's a coming together, it's a collision. Is it a challenge that Hadji really has to make in that moment? Don't think so. Can you understand why the referee has given it? Yes, it's obviously been checked by VAR because they check everything. Clement said he'll be interested to see what Willie Collum says next time the VAR show comes out. I don't think that one will get quite as high a viewing numbers as the post-League Cup final one, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see what the panel makes of that one. Ultimately, if the panel comes out and says it was the wrong decision, that doesn't help Rangers because the damage has been
and they're blaming VAR and everybody already. Let's get back to Stevie and see how depressed he is.
Right, but see, the reality is he fucking scored his 3 great goals, but I'm not having any slander on the kid because it was poor defending that cost us today. It wasn't Igamani. You look at the 3 goals that we conceded. Really, I mean, 2 of them's shite defending, shite goalkeeping, right? The penalty, I don't think it's bad from Hadji, even being honest. But I just think John Beaton's thought Hadji's brought him down when in reality it's a coming together. It's a difficult one to accept that, but Clement's got to go. We're now what? We're 10 points behind Celtic. Obviously, they play St Mirren later on. The league was always done, right? This isn't me conceding the league. I conceded it back in June. If anyone wants to go rewatch it, it's just about building to the future. Right? Keep getting the gap as close as we can to them, right? To the next game we play them at Parkhead, and then the next game at Ibrox. Yes. And look, we beat them 3-0. It feels like we're back to fucking square one. What we had to do was go on a run here. And we're back to square one. It's tragic, man. He's got to go. He won't go.
You went on a run. The Union Bears went on a run after the cup final. They only turned up again once it got back to the safety of their own ground.
I just see if he comes out in the presser and blames the Yanis Hadji penalty and why we get beat today, man. I'm going to be flabbergasted.
He's going to be flabbergasted. There is another live hack along that I want to just get into and just see what this lot have to say, because the morbid are even more morbid.
Today, after another disappointing away day performance from Rangers. This one was actually Rangers in microcosm, so inconsistent even across a 90 minutes. For the first 30 minutes today in the 3-each draw with Hibs, Rangers were terrific, absolutely deserved to rate a dreadful goal. Rangers defence could not keep Waynes out of a close. It's that simple. 7 goals conceded in the last 3 away matches.
Rangers are now being reported to the RSPCA as they're no longer allowed to keep a hold of dogs because they can't hold a lead.
Matches tells its story, and that means that teams are always in the game against us, because we can raise ourselves for one-off games, but domestically in the league away from home we can't. And you see it time after time, into the lead and letting opponents back into the game. A lot of performances even this season, Malmo, Nice, Tottenham, and then not followed it up. I think it's reasonable to expect now that unless
Rangers are shy,
he goes on a terrible run, that he's going to be here to the end of the season.
Yeah! Clement must stay.
But the away form continues to be an absolute nightmare. First 3 minutes, half an hour, Rangers were terrific, swept into.
And I'm going to stop that. Just a big shout out to James Beattie. James Beattie leaving the New York Celtic Supporters Club now, where it's 1 degrees, but walking around enjoying the Square One, frustrated with Celtic TV, but hopefully they can sort out hail from Manhattan. James, you will love the thumbnail for the video, and thank you for the super chat. James, you're a cracking member of this community, and I have used your picture off of Twitter for the thumbnail for this video. Brilliant guy. He's always one of the ones that's on Twitter, and it's great to see these guys over in New York supporting Celtic in a big massive way, and it just shows the Celtic fans that we do have, and the good spirited nice people that we do have that support our fantastic club all around the world. We aren't finished just yet. We are listening to a little bit more of their meltdown from the Heart and Hands.
A lead, brilliant cutback from Yanis Hadji and Hamza. Rangers don't react to it. How often have we saw that? We got dragged into the type of game that suited Hibs, and ball in midfield, but then gives it away straight away. First and gets fouled himself. Back into it when Czerny, who wasn't corner, comes out the box. Liam Kelly's nowhere, the defence is nowhere, and Bashiri heads it in. Did have a chance at the end, which Igaman makes for himself, just chasing down a lost ball, out-muscling Bashiri, but he hits the post. And he's covering up a multitude of sins, because these are structural problems and they don't get better. That's why Philippe Clement is getting criticism. I know he bridles at it, he saw after the Old Firm game the other day a little bit. And
I love the fact that they're still grasping onto that old film. It's the old film, and that's it. It's the old film. It's still the old film.
It's because we see the same things every week. Nothing seems to get better. And at the end of the day, that is a manager's responsibility. 4 wins from 15 away league matches. That's not sustainable if you're a Rangers manager. It does look as though, as I say, the board want to give him at least to the end of the season. But fans' frustrations won't go away, because as a fan, what you look for is improvement, and we don't see improvement. We know this team can do it in one-off games. We know that. We know we've got an absolute star up front in Hamza Gaman. But
see, the issue is, right, with the Sevconians, is they think that they're better than what they are. It takes a lot of metal and it takes a lot of substance from Celtic to maintain the type of performances that we put in, week out. Winning one-off games in the middle of, or at the start of January, does not win you titles. Winning games week in, week out, putting in performances, even when you're not playing good, even when players are having an off day, but still winning games, is what makes you champions. Having that consistency to do it week in, week out. Celtic never look for excuses. Celtic could have went into their little cocoon today and said, we got absolutely hammered that last game. let's play it safe and go for a draw today. That's not the Celtic way. It's not the Celtic way at all. Good teams and good managers come out the blocks the very next game, and the great thing about today was the fast attacking one-touch football, one-touch pass that Celtic got back into today. That was missing in the last game. Brendan Rodgers knew it. He would have drilled it into the players. We do not play like that. Us as Celtic play the Celtic way. The Celtic way is one-touch pass. Don't hold on to the ball. Don't even think about what you're going to do. Just take the one touch. You know where the player is. Pass it. Get the ball moving fast. That's how we play. And for them, the always greeting and the statement FC, the fact that they've always got to blame someone else, blame VAR, the fact is they consistently cannot do it. And that's that.
But there are so many other areas of the side that don't work. And if we don't sign centre-backs now, this week, then this is going to continue when we go up to Dundee. We've got suspension, Sterling and off injured again today. It's just going to continue to go along like that. Right then, folks, thank you for joining me today.
No, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, my arse. Oh, Jesus. Oh, should we listen to Clement? Explosive press conference, this says. Explosive press conference. Let's listen to this.
So what did you take away from that game today?
That it's a frustrating afternoon to lose 3 points.
Hey!
3 points. Frustrating afternoon to lose 3 points.
They never lost 3 points. He talks. What? They never lost 3 points. They gained 1 point.
In different ways. First, we played a really good first half. Hips came more into the game. It's a situation with a small collision between two players on top speed, where even the attacking players gets Yanis down by getting his legs from behind. We were dominant on the ball. We are in with so many defenders out. So for the moment, we don't have the depth to keep the same level with. So that's normal also after all the series of games that they played until now. But still then, I'm confident if we don't get this penalty against, that Hibs don't come back into the game, because that momentum was for them really, really important. I asked to the referees why they see it's a penalty, because I need to explain that also to my players. That's an important thing.
Why do you need to explain it to your players? He's penalty daft, this man, isn't he?
We don't agree for the moment. In that way, we will see how at the panel and Willie Cullen will say about that. So I'm curious.
Getting that Old Firm one, that in terms of the belief and the confidence amongst the players, that this result takes some of that away.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't take away belief or confidence. Of course, everybody's down now because you want these 3 points. You give everything for that. They gave everything for that. To get that, they showed also a lot of good things, a lot of positives. So it's frustrating not to get the rewards that you deserve with the performance that they made today. So in that way, yes.
I'm drinking the loo. I'm more blue than you.
Yes, and it's about continuation in that way. Once technically, tactically, for that, and everybody said he will need at least 1 year to be a starting 11 player. So he's taking faster steps than people predicted. Something that Patrick will address towards you guys.
Patrick? They've got a Tim in the house.
He wants to give that explanation. What is the plan for January?
Do you feel that you need more players this year?
I think every manager feels that, and for sure in the situation we are.
I have no idea what he's actually going on about. I'll tell you one thing, if he was a Celtic manager, he'd get sacked just for his comments and for the way that he actually talks. Anyway, Celtic, we beat Celtic in a long while. Cup, Squirtle said, I'm trying to catch up with some of these comments here. Refs not allowed to give penalties against them now. Nope, I don't understand how the referee can give a penalty against Rangers quite easily. Beef injections, what? The guy's off his head. The guy is completely off his head. We're going to have to, why do I laugh every time I hear his voice? I've no idea, but we need to listen to the last couple of minutes, and we need to take the man seriously. Come on, the Baldies.
For the moment, with injuries and everything, but there's also the situation of the club. You need to pay it also, and I'm not the one who can pay that. I don't have that money.
Ooh, wait a minute. Right, rewind that back. He's talking about they've no money. He's talking about they've no money.
But there's also the situation of the club. You need to pay it also, and I'm not the one who can pay that. I don't have that money.
What's the situation with Dujon, and are you getting closer to having Balogun and Suter back?
I don't have a clue for the moment. So Dujon get a kick on his foot. He had to come off because of that. So we will see how serious the injury is. And I don't know if Leon will be back. And for sure not others. So we need to puzzle towards Thursday. So we will focus on that the next couple of days.
How long do you think John will be out for?
No, that will be still several weeks. So he will not be back in the short term.
He'll not be back in the short term. He won't be back in the short term. The good point and all the goodness that happened today is Show Me the Money FC, a whip run for Phil. It is hilarious, but we do need to take it serious. The fact that Celtic were absolutely brilliant today. You've got to say, even Greg Taylor had a good game today. There was nobody really get an EBT for Murray. There's nobody that really had a bad game today when you look at the stats for Celtic. Pass accuracy 88%. The passes that we had in the total game were down slightly. But, when you look at it, St. Mirren only had 214 passes the whole game. Wouldn't have even done. Just pay me off. The waffle, the Belgian waffle, doesn't have waffle. Let me see some other Celtic headlines that are kicking around today. Couldn't strike twice as boys beat buddies. That's coming in from Ireland as the world press start to react to the Celtic result today. The Irish Independent headline says Celtic bounce back from Rangers hammering with a dominant win over their arch rivals. I'm going to jump over to Celtic to see if they have put anything out from Brendan Rodgers yet. They still haven't. Celtic need to really get their finger out. The game's been done about an hour now, and they just still haven't got anything out. It doesn't take that long to upload. I could do it on my phone quicker. I could interview Brendan Rodgers and have it up on Celtic's YouTube within 5 minutes after the game. I don't know why it takes Celtic TV so long to get their finger out after a game, especially with the modern technology today. I know they've got their fancy cameras and then they've got to upload it to the laptop and they've got to edit it. I can edit a video within 5 minutes and get it up onto YouTube if I was at a game. And I just think that Celtic, I don't know what goes on with Celtic, honestly. It's unbelievable. The Scottish mainstream media have not given their orders yet. Their players are asking to leave. Yeah, I think they are. Dundee will pump them. The face painters are back. Starting on. Ida was poor. Engels was mediocre, says Jezebel. Do you think so? I think Adam Ida was up against some strong defenders today. Arne Engels is still a player that is only 20-year-old that is coming into the game. It does go back to the position of we do need a strong holding midfield. If not a holding midfield player, we need someone that has a little bit of years on them. But the way that Celtic are going, they're not going to go out and spend good money on a defender and a midfielder, a holding midfield player that's around about 30, 31-year-old, because they'll see that it's only going to bring him in for a season or two. But the manager and the management team will go out and bring a goalkeeper in that's only got 2 years left in him at top level. So it is interesting the way that Celtic are playing in the transfer market. They are trying to stick to the business model that they have of bringing in these players and trying to make them better. Is it the fact that Engels is just into the club? He's only really 7 months into the club now. We should give him more time. Is it the fact that Paulo Bernardo should ultimately be doing better? And I thought that one thing that Rio Hatate looked as if he'd been kicked up the arse by the manager today, because he seemed to have found a little bit of pace this afternoon. James McCarthy could play number 6, Baz. Yes, Parkhead boy, James McCarthy, who's missing in action. He's left Celtic, so we know that he's not going to happen. Kyogo would have had a hat-trick today. I don't think that... I can understand where you're coming from with that, the chances that Adam Ida had. Christopher coming in from Canada says, a nice win, hope we get some new talent. James McCarthy is signed for Rangers. Yep, he is that. Man United have just scored. Well, there's one. That's a shock to the system. Paul Baird says, there's only one thing I want to hear from Brendan Rodgers, and that is Taylor will never play for Celtic again. But unfortunately, he keeps begging him to stay. Not good enough from the manager. Man United are beating Liverpool. Right, Baz, happy of the day. Stuart Ramsey, I'm always happy. I was probably a bit pissed after the Sevco game, and I didn't let them get me down. I didn't think that it would last long. I knew that the meltdowns would come back for them. How do you think Hatate played today, Troops? Or did you even notice he was on? I noticed he was on, and his pace was a little bit quicker than it was in previous games. Johnson came in and made a debut at Rangers, and he's been firing. We paid penny for him. Arne Engels needs to do better. You've got to remember, though, Conan, that when we brought in Alistair Johnston, he had just been at the World Cup with Canada, and he was absolutely immense at the World Cup and with Canada that year. He was brilliant for Canada, as always. And it's a different level of player. He was a ready-made international player. Arne Engels, we need to stop looking at the price tag of Arne Engels. We need to look at the age of the player and the progress that he's got to make. Every Celtic fan needs to do this. They really need to stop looking at the players, what we've bought them for. Because I've said it before, over the next coming 2 years, Brendan Rodgers will buy more players at £10 million than ever before in the history of Celtic Football Club. And it will be players that will be aged 20 to 22 years old. Celtic they're not going to go back the way that they went down the road. They're not going to go back to £1 million players unless it's someone that they could see that has got an amazing talent that has went so far under the radar. It's been unbelievable. I think Celtic will maintain that this road, the trajectory that they've went on, and buying some of the top talent around Europe between 7 and 15 million. I've said that before. People need to get off the backs of players, because players that are bought between 7 and 15 million are nothing in the big scale of things. Are absolutely nothing. We are 13 points clear. We are that. When you look at, now there's no news in KT. I do expect something to come out of Celtic tomorrow. I do expect some news to come out of Celtic tomorrow, and tomorrow morning you'll expect some leakages in the press. Maybe even tonight, this evening, late on this evening, expect some leakages into the media about what Celtic may or may not do this week in the transfer market. I do believe that Celtic will make moves in the transfer market this week. Will it be players just leaving? Will it be the likes of Lewis Palmer leaving? We know that Stephen Welsh is on his way out the club if he's not left already. But when you look at it, the players that have came into Celtic and the price tags, we need to stop looking at it, because we're putting a lot of pressure on them. Cool Daddy says, you're right, Baz, Engels' price tag is nothing these days. It is absolutely nothing. Could you imagine the money that Barcelona, and this is no disrespect to Alex Bailly, but they had until a missed date this year, they had a clause in his contract where they would sell him, if they signed the deal on the 1st of January, he would have a buyout clause of 30 million. This is how much they expect him to grow as a player. This is why they did not give Celtic an option to buy. And I know that he's not getting a game for Celtic because of Greg Taylor, but when you look at the money that we are paying for players, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. And, Ange said this as well. He said you can look at it this way. You can go out and buy a £1 million player. You can sell him for 10, 15, maybe a bit more if you get lucky. Or you can go out and buy a £10 million player and you can sell him for 25 to 30 million. It's just all the same. It's all the business level. It's all about the experience that comes with that player and the potential that the Celtic team see in him. Anyway, Glasgow Celts says, thank you guys. Hail, hail. Still half gutted. Thursday. I'm over it. Totally over it. Upi says, I love to talk pish here, so don't worry about all the crazy fuckers. Yes, the man YMC says, then why don't we buy young players for only their potential? We're a club that they can develop into, just like what Matt O'Reilly was twice the player by the time he left. It's the trouble is trying. Celtic had been watching Matt O'Reilly for a few years. They'd watched him at Fulham. He left Fulham and MK Dons. When he signed for MK Dons, there was a clause in his contract that the first bid that come in for £1.5 million, he could leave. Now, that was the player's agent that put that into place. If he had stayed at Fulham, if Matt O'Reilly had stayed at Fulham and signed a contract at Fulham, Celtic would have had to pay 3 or 4 or 5 million to get Matt O'Reilly. And it's all about watching players, and players that have left Celtic, that have went under from the youth system. Other clubs are watching them coming up through the youth system and watching the fact that they're not signing deals with Celtic, and then that's when they're pouncing on getting these players for 300 grand. It's very, very difficult to try and get really, really good players around the world at crazy bottom prices. Anyway, it's bitter leftover turkey for the Huns. I hope they're not eating turkey. That'll be off a bit like their players. Let me just see what else is there. Clement raging about referees. I think that we've done enough of that. Viral news. Rangers, that's it. I'm done and dusted with it. My throat is starting to go because I have been on for well over 52 minutes, which is a bit longer than normal. And Carly, can I have a piece on jam, says Stuart Ramsey. I have no idea what he was in jam. Game in Celt says a good chunk of Parkhead was in darkness when I left the stadium. That's due to the power outage that was going on there. Everyone knew about O'Reilly, and his stats at MK Dons were off the rail. No one else took the chance at 1.5 million because of his injury history. Even we tried to sign McGee before we signed him. Interesting. The only hunger there is the Wayne is starving in Glasgow. Yep, that is that. Anyway, thank you to everyone who has watched the video. I can't believe I'm ending the video when there's 500 people a minute watching the video. There's been over 3,300 views to the video so far. Hank says, half-time hounds. Talk for yourself. I'm out there for the crack. Love the chaos. I don't think there's... Did we finish the meltdown videos? Yes, we did, didn't we? And Clement. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this evening. Celtic won 3-0 against St Mirren. It was a game that we all had a little bit of... We were all a little bit nervous. Let's face facts. But we all sat before the game and says it's a game. It doesn't matter what happens. We need to win. The fact that Rangers did drop points before the game today made sure that they were staying on 40 points in the league. Dundee United will feel that they should have been doing better recently, but Aberdeen are in complete freefall in the league, having dropped away down to 4th position in the league on 34 points. Have not won a game in 6. Aberdeen are in complete freefall, and no one knows what's going on inside Aberdeen. Motherwell have slipped away, also having had the chance earlier on in December to close the gap on the Rangers, but Rangers have broken away into second place. The second place champions once again. The second place sisters have won one game against Celtic, and they are adamant that they were on their way back. But today, Celtic managed to get a hard-fought win at home to the home of champions. The club that is going for 55, the club that is no other than on 53 points in the SPFL, are coming out the dark side of the long train tunnel that is the league season. And as they head through the tunnel, Plummeting through the tunnel, heading towards, they can see this little glimmer of light, and in the little glimmer of light stands the League Championship trophy. Having already got the Scottish League Cup in the bag, Celtic are on course for a domestic double. Can Celtic win a treble this year? That is the story that's left to unfold as the season goes on. Yes, Celtic are still within the chance of winning a domestic treble. We're guaranteed the double by the looks of it. Can we win the treble? The story continues. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans. 13 points clear. It's minus 13 in Govan. There's snow all around the UK. Make sure you wrap up tight tonight, hun, because I tell you one thing, it's dark in our shadow. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the
League on 34. They can see this little glimmer of light, and in the little glimmer of light stands the League Championship trophy. Having already got the Scottish League Cup in the bag, Celtic are on course for a domestic double. Can Celtic win a treble this year? That is the story that's left to unfold as this season goes on. Yes, Celtic are still within the chance of winning a domestic treble. We're guaranteed the double by the looks of it. Can we win the treble? The story continues. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic